looked like something out of Hitman. Brinker, showing nice reflexes, immediately dove under the desk. Without really aiming, I shot out the monitor, his telephone console, and for good measure the framed Harvard diploma on the wall. Destroying the phone must have triggered an intercom or something. The door flew open as Brinker pulled his way back up from the floor, glaring. The two young men outside peered in suspiciously, but between the suppressor and the high-class soundproofing, I doubt they'd heard anything. The cig was already back under my jacket. "Sorry, private meeting." I pushed the door shut again. "All right." Brinker brushed broken plastic from the desk. "You're not an accountant." Actually, well, never mind. Ready to talk about revenue recognition? He was a tough nut. After several fruitless minutes, I opened the door and called out, "Where's the supply closet? We need a paper cutter." The two men were still in the hallway, along with the receptionist. The three of them stared back at me, uncertain. I looked at Brinker. "You want them to hear what we're talking about?" He frowned and said past me, "Just do what he says. Sharon, you."
Sir? Are you sure?"
"Don't worry." The son of a gun was getting confident again, which began to annoy me. When Sharon brought up the paper cutter, a nice big one, a grid-marked platform with a 2-foot swivel blade, I locked the door and dumped it on Brinker's desk. "Drop your pants," I said, and opened the blade. When I left Brinker's office, it was clear that little work was going on. Brinker had yelled some, even though we compromised on his finger instead, and I let him jerk it away at the last instant, so he lost only the tip, not even any bone. The soundproofing had muffled that noise too. Still, his employees kept their distance. They knew something was up, but they couldn't be sure who I was, why I was there, or what they ought to do in response. Small clusters of them peeked over cubicle walls, falling silent when I passed. "Just routine," I said with a big smile. "Nice day, huh?" Spreading cheer everywhere I went. I wasn't having fun. This was just getting the job done, as efficiently as possible. I arrived at the CFO's office. His name was Neighbors, and he was waiting for me. Brinker must have called to warn him. "It wasn't my fault," he said, the moment I walked through his door, talking fast. "He told me to do it. I didn't want anything to do with the entry. I knew it was wrong. I wanted to take the write-down, show it just as generally accepted accounting principles require. But he said we couldn't hit the bottom line like that all at once." Slow down. Neighbors was a weasel, with slicked back hair and a crisp white over blue shirt. His office was smaller than Brinker's, of course, and his desk and paneling were light-colored, ash maybe, or birch. "Tell me what I need to know, and I'll let you live." I thought that was funny, but he didn't. "The board reviewed the financials." Excuses continued to tumble out. "I was sick and couldn't check all the subledgers." "That's enough." He finally shut up, and I watched him for a minute in silence, frowning. When the strain of keeping the words in became unbearable, he opened his mouth, and I immediately said, "Don't talk. Listen." He stared at me, quivering a bit. I nodded. "You drive a Porsche Cayenne Turbo, right? License plate says S8? That's cute. SEC Form S8 reports a company officer's exercise of stock options. Before I came in this afternoon, I wired an M67 fragmentation grenade into the front axle linkage." He looked confused, so I continued. "It's simple. You can start the car and even drive it, but the first time you make a left-hand turn, the tie rod pulls the detonator and boom." "But, so here's what you can do. Calling the cops seems like a bad idea because they'll have some questions you really don't want to get into." I paused, and after a moment he nodded hastily. "Maybe you could disarm it yourself. Of course, you only get one try. Or maybe you know someone you could call. Has some expertise." "No?" All right, he said. "Just let me tell it, okay?"